Hello and welcome to Worlds Cooldown. I am Dash, joined by Raz and Medius as we conclude our second quarter final, and it's EDG making history, moving on for the very first time in their organization's history from a quarters to a semis at Worlds, and they do it in 5-game fashion.
Pretty dominant fifth game as well. It was a pretty one-sided affair. Once again, we saw a lot of action happening towards the bot side of the map, but this time around, EDG seemed well prepared and able to shut down all of Wei's aggressiveness.
Yeah, and even just taking a big step back and just looking at what EDG was able to accomplish, as you said, semifinals, first time for them to even go to this point, and getting closer and closer to reaching that Summoner's Cup, and all of this happening through what were pretty pointed bans at Crying.
Yeah, I didn't expect Annie. Didn't expect Annie to make her first appearance and get banned in the same day here at Worlds, but that is the case for EDG, as they seem to identify that for them, one of the biggest factors in the series was the effectiveness of Crying, albeit, you know, when shoved off of a couple of those picks, you know, seemed to be nullified largely as an individual. Yeah,
we did touch on it briefly before going into that fifth game, which was that Crying's ability to impact the map is a large part of RNG's success, and a large part of it is also, of course, Wei and his ability to find opportunities in ganks, but I think in conjunction with each other is where so many of the early game advantages come from. And I think, just like we saw in the fifth game, as we saw in all the other games, it was RNG being the proactive team, the ones trying to force the play, and then it was up to EDG to respond. And sometimes throughout the series, they couldn't quite respond to the aggression, but this game, they handled it perfectly. They shut down Wei, and they really shut him down hard in the early game, mitigating all early game and preventing Crying from really doing anything to change it around.
And again, Raz, I think that was shown in the compositions that they secured for themselves, right? So it wasn't just about how they were attacking the strengths of RNG, but what they were able to pull onto their side of the map. You've got that Yuumi, the Ezreal, the ability to kite back and stall out fights. You had the Graves secured in 4 out of 5 games for Flandre. Even in the moments where he was held down on that pick, he still found effectiveness later in the game, scaling to a point where he could tank Nexus turrets and seemingly lose no health.
Yeah, I think RNG, for EDG, they had a very pointed strategy, as we said, and for RNG, they did 2 things. Not only were they willing to play against what was kind of agreed to be really strong picks like the Yuumi, so they were willing to play into that kind of scaling, more scaling mindset, but then also they had the task of, okay, if we're losing specific Crying picks, what else can we kind of band-aid that with so we can still play our style? And in this game, you're in a tough spot, because what is Gwen going to do? Already she's going to be under turret for the most part in her laning phase, and then when she's able to join the fights, we were joking in the back about how he was finally able to fight, but he's getting kited all hell.
It's kind of, it's always sad to watch game 5s like that, because you're really hoping for that back and forth that we kind of got a lot of in this series. And like, huge props to EDG as well, but also it's got to be very frustrating for RNG, because, you know, the MSI champions overall, their end of their summer split did not end the way that they wanted it to, getting knocked out by LNG as well. And it feels like that often with this RNG, too many G's in the league.
Get BLG over too.
I think that the second half of the year has not gone the way RNG have wanted. But I think what we can say for sure is that this RNG roster is still strong. I expect the roster to come back in full force next year, and I'm excited to see them return to the international stage in 2022.
Heartbreak 100% magnified by the fact that they had picked up that MSI title, right?
Yeah.
And did it in fairly dominant fashion there. And so there was some hope to see success for a player like Xiao Hu in the role swap and stepping onto the world stage. But as you mentioned, this year, it wasn't in the bag. For EDG, it very much is. And I will continue to put a focus on Viper. As you can see the post-game breakdown behind us and the amount of damage that he was able to put up. But while we put a focus on the bot lane, we're heading to the top lane for more on EDG's win. Here's Shox with Flandre.
Thank you very much, Dash. I'm here with Flandre after EDG beats RNG and makes it to the semi-final. Flandre, congratulations. And first off, I have to ask you about the Annie, because this series was really crazy. But the fact that Crying ended up picking Annie and then you banned it away was pretty insane to watch. What can you tell me about what you thought about the Annie pick, why you wanted to ban it, and how it influenced your draft in Game 5?
那首先恭喜你们获得比赛的胜利，现在也是成功晋级到半决赛。但第一个问题还是想问一下关于安妮，感觉今天 Cryan 也是拿出个不常见的选项安妮，而且你们最后其实把这个英雄直接按到了班位上，所以说能问一下你怎么看待一个中单的安妮的出场？然后同时想问一下为什么要ban掉安妮？你觉得安妮这个英雄会对对局有怎样的影响呢？
我觉得安妮这英雄应该只是他自己练习的比较多的英雄嘛，应该是属于他的黑科技吧。然后我们输了一把后，觉得不太好处理，就还是按掉为主。
So I really feel like for Annie, maybe the pick that Cryan really practice a lot in the actual practice, and also we think like maybe can be his very dark tech pick, and also we got a lose against his Annie, so that's the reason for us to just like to ban out this champion.
That dark technology of the Annie, I love it. Better to ban it out. Now, Flandre, you have been fighting to get to Worlds for so long. You've tried for so many years with LNG, and now you finally did it. And not only are you at Worlds, but you also beat RNG, helped EDG get out of the quarterfinals, and now are the last remaining LPL team standing. What can you tell me about your experience so far at Worlds?
那其实圣枪哥也是一直征战了很多年，然后终于进入到了世界赛的舞台，然后并且击败了 RNG， 成为了现在进入到4强以后，现在也成为 LPL 仅剩的一支就是 LPL 的队伍嘛。所以说能问一下圣枪哥到目前为止在世界赛上怎么样的一个感受呢？
到目前为止在世界赛上感受还是比较开心的吧。毕竟今天赢下来，说实话，打安基其实没赢过，能今天赢下来，感觉特别开心吧。然后还是希望后面能代表 LPL 走到最后。
So to be honest, till now, and also we just beat RNG in this Best of 5, so I'm super happy about this because we haven't got a win against RNG for such a long time. So I'm very happy about this part, and because we are the only LPL team in this World Championship, I really would like to stand to the end.
Well, I have to ask about the whole LPL teams remaining, which you are the only one for now. And there is a lot of talk about the level of the LPL because 2 teams dropped out of the group stage. And then now we only have you remaining. Of course, you had to play an LPL team in the quarterfinal. What can you tell me about the level generally of the LPL here at Worlds and of EDG going forward?
那接下来想问一下圣枪哥对整个 LPL 赛区强度的一个看法，因为其实有2支 LPL 的队伍都在小组赛上折戟了嘛。然后呢，现在 EDG 也成为唯一一个就是突破了8强来到4强的队伍。所以说，能问一下你对整个 LPL 的强度有什么样的看法？同时怎么看待 EDG 的一个强度呢？
我觉得 LPL 还是属于那种比较喜欢打架的赛区吧。然后小组赛也没出现，只能说发挥不是很好吧。然后还是希望我们自己后面比赛不管打谁能够打好吧。
I really feel LPL, we still have a very aggressive playstyle. We have so many team fights in actual game, but maybe the reason for 2 LPL teams cannot get off the group stage is because they just didn't manage to perform so good. And I really hope for us, we were able to have a very good performance for the remaining matchups.
We hope so as well for the LPL fans. Final question, your next opponent will be either Cloud9 or Gen.G, depending on who wins. I'd love to get your prediction, who you will think and will win rather, and why.
那你们4强的一个对手也会在 Gen.G 和 C9 之间产生，所以说对他们下一场的对决有怎么样的一个看法？同时原因是什么呢？
我觉得下一场的对决不管是谁赢，都是我们要着重研究的吧，因为现在不能小看每一个队伍。
I feel like no matter who get the win, we will definitely to study their playstyle because I think all the teams are very strong.
Okay, thank you very much for the translation, Wendy. Thank you so much, Flandre. Congratulations, rather, and back over to you, Dash, for cooldown.
Thank you so much, Shocks. It's good to hear as well how much this series win means for them in the context of EDG versus RNG, saying, hey, it's been quite some time since we've gotten one of those victories over them. And so while, yes, they have to kick out another LPL team on their way to the semifinals to get that win over RNG, the defending MSI champions is going to feel good, and it's going to give them the kind of momentum I think they need to be successful in their semifinal bout.
I don't know, he mentioned studying the teams that are going to be going into the semifinals, be it, of course, like C9 or Gen.G. But also, this is a great series to just study about themselves, right? Because they went up against a team that changed and played towards the bot lane.
Yeah.
Also, off the replay that you showed at the very beginning of the day, when 100 Thieves went up against them and played towards the bot lane. So when they do get thwarted bot side, there was a challenge. They didn't play normally as strong as they would. So I think that they need to kind of look back on that, how they draft, and also how they play to kind of fix that up.
And I think that what we didn't see today was Flandre really being attacked. Like, he had 1 Jace game and 4 Graves games, you know? And the first thing that stands out to me is, well, what if you do remove that Graves from him and just attack that top side? Even if the bot lane gets ahead in a very top side centric meta, perhaps that could be another way to attack EDG that we haven't even seen yet. So I think that EDG, I think that they will learn a lot from this experience, but ultimately the question comes from, will either Gen.G or C9 be able to go toe-to-toe with these Titans? Because I think that even if today's series was considered messy or a bit scrappy, I still think that we saw a very high level from EDG overall, and I would still consider them favorites making it to the final.
I mean, we kind of saw half of that equation, right? We saw RNG in a couple games go to the top side of the map, but to your point, never really pushing him off of one of those two picks, and in particular the Graves, which kind of allowed him to absorb pressure, still become relevant, even if he died a time or two. As has already been mentioned by both of these fellas here, this does mean that EDG will face the winner of Gen.G versus Cloud9 in the semifinals. We've got one half of each half of our bracket.
Bracket's starting to fill up.
It's starting to fill out, and the two teams already making it to the semifinals look incredibly terrifying. Tomorrow, though, Sports Mad Lions versus Dom1 Kia. The tournament favorites, I think, for most in the 6-0 group stage that pushed them through to the quarterfinals. And then the last hope for Europe, Mad Lions, who squeaked through on the tiebreak as the second seed. Vedius, I see you nodding your head knowingly. So tell me about it. Look into your crystal ball. What's going to happen tomorrow?
Let me just get my copium list out. Okay, so let's start with Mad Lions have only ever lost a single best of 5 all year, and that was to Dom1, but it was all the full 5 games. Full 5 games. And Dom1's better now than they used to be. Also, Dom1 had to travel and is probably a little jet lagged still, even after they had 6-0. But also remember that they also had the easiest group of the groups, because
fan,
I mean when you think about it, Rogue, like great C9, like C9 qualified on a 3-4 record, an FP.
So can I lock you in for Mad Lions 3-0, or what do you want me to do there?
Can we? I mean, do we need predictions?
3-1,
really?
right? Okay. Fine.
I mean,
fair.
let's leave it open to interpretation. I think that Europe is very optimistic, but I also think that Europe is very realistic in that Dom1 have looked by far and away the strongest team at this World Championship.
A little bit, a lot of bit.
And I would say that there is like a 10% chance that Mad can win.
I have more faith than you do in Mad Lions. Raz, I like to point out to the previous series played against Dom1, a 3-2 loss in that case. But again, to me, even if Dom1 looks like a stronger team and is playing better now than they were then, I think it is indicative of how Mad's style and their ability to mount comebacks, look for team fights, skirmishes, individual playmaking from players like Humanoid and that LeBlanc game that we saw. There is potential for upset, even if it is one game or two and possibly the entire series.
There we go. You let me in there. You let me in through that door. I would say one game, but the possibility of a series. 0%.
All right. I've got the most hope here.
There we go.
On the analyst desk.
You'll
be out there casting the series tomorrow, losing your mind. So
I mean, my problem with Mad is that their early game just sucks. It is really bad. And last time they played, I think the biggest advantage that they had was that a lot of Dom1 were underperforming relative to their expectations.
Yeah.
But now Khan is playing like a god.
Okay. Well, here's final point here.
A way that they have it through this one is that Carzzy is playing incredibly well in the bot lane.
Yeah.
This bottom lane is looking phenomenal, and so if we're looking back to what happens in MSI, we can try and recreate a little bit of that.
All right, there you go. Just a few thoughts ahead of tomorrow's series. I got good news for all of you European fans out there. Vedius thinks Dom1 Kia is going to win tomorrow. He was wrong today, so that's a good sign for you. That's all for us tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow for Dom1 Kia versus Mad Lions. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night. Dive into our second day of quarterfinal play. RNG and EDG are the last hopes of the LPL, and today only one of them will make it through to the semifinal.
Oh, this is going to be exciting. There is, I would say, more history here than any other LPL clash. What's the fight going to be? Jarvan in the back line, Tedway the follow. Pretty good ulti on the front line. Will it actually kill? Xiaohu just does not live. EDG may have lost soul, but they are winning this fight, and they're going for more. Scout gonna get a bit of damage, pop the zone, you pop the stopwatch. Gala and Cry forced one away.
And we saw EDG.
That's huge, that's huge. The goal is going to be the difference. Way does it happen? Is it going to be the steal? It is not. He was eliminated in groups, so it's going to be EDG taking the Baron and taking the fight. It is 1-1. It's at 2K. They can burn this down. They find the first bit of CC. Oh, who claims it? He gets the Baron anyway. And the team fight begins. Scout knocks up one, and it's going to be a slaughter. But a stopwatch is popped. Way is alive. Scout burns a second Zonius. Viper alone, but he has Mako. And that's a shutdown over to the Sinjao. Here comes a flash in for Scout, cannot find the root just yet. Ult comes in, is it enough damage from Felios? The health bars are low, and yes it is. RNG do not want to lose this series. They're looking great in game 4.
We're going to game 5.
Okay, TP is coming in. There's the first knockup. Gala trying to kite. He's rooted, and he's going to drop. Bullet time hits 2 waves. A 2 for 0 so far. Xiaohu not going to find anything as the shockwave hits nothing at all. And here comes Yuumi healing up Scout. Will he die? The heal's in yet again. Thank you, Moonstone Renewer. And they do not have the damage. It's 3 unanswered. It's 4 unanswered. It is RNG left crying alone. This time, EDG won it all. This team, EDG, are headed to the semifinals.
It all leads to this. Make or break.
Vitality will take them.
A new era is awaiting.